This week was my birthday, so what better occasion could there possibly be than to make the birthday cake from Animal Crossing? The birthday cake we find in Animal Crossing is actually a duplicate of a real-life cake, the Strawberry Shortcake, which is very popular in Japan. I was surprised to learn that it is the most popular cake in Japan. Apparently, from what I've heard, when someone says cake to you in Japan, they think of this strawberry shortcake cake, often decorated pretty similarly to how it looks in Animal Crossing, which I just think that's so cute, because as an American, when someone says cake, I imagine like a Walmart sheet cake with disgusting primary colored frosting on it. So that's really cute that they have these adorable cakes to be the face of cake for them. Anyway, with it being the main cake of Japan, at least from what I've heard, it's often used to celebrate birthdays and Christmas. When Christmas comes around, it's referred to as a Christmas cake, which is quite fun, but also very strange. Like, strawberries are very much a spring thing in my mind, so it's weird that they associate them with Christmas, which, you know, from a Western standpoint, you associate with like ginger, nutmeg type flavorings. Anyway, the strawberry shortcake was a Western dish with kind of an Eastern flair when it got brought over to Japan by a Japanese man in the early 1900s. They say like 1920, I think. And then it was highly popularized in the 60s when more and more places had refrigeration for their cakes, so the whipped cream could be made ahead of time and actually last. Oh, and I keep seeing places, people saying shortcake is like a cracker type thing in other places. For the Japanese shortcake, it's a sponge cake. I've always thought shortcake was a spongy type cake. I never thought it was a cracker. I thought it was like a cake. So I don't know what you know, but that's my background. Anyway, you're welcome for the impromptu lesson of the history of Japanese shortcake, which probably isn't a very good or complete history, but a little more than you probably already knew, at least more than I knew before making this cake. Alright, and let's get into the actual making of this cake. Apparently, sponge cake only likes to do things the old-fashioned way, so we will have to separate the yolks from the egg whites so we can beat them later. And you technically can beat them together, but it's a little more finicky. From what I was reading, it's just they like being beaten separately more than being beaten together. These beatings will add air into the eggs, which will act as our fluffinator, the fluffinator of our cake. Anyway, it informed me that I needed to whip the yolks with some sugar until it turned white, which it actually does. I was like really amazed to see it turn white. I'm sure it's just because so much air is getting into it that it dilutes the color, but fascinating. And nowadays, most cakes people make, you use baking powder or baking soda to have them rise up and get the fluffy. But for some reason, sponge cake, I've tried to find recipes with baking powder or baking soda, and the internet was like, no, ew. Who are you? The only way to really do a sponge cake is to beat the eggs. What are you thinking? You're into these weird chemical reactions? You freak? No, we're just gonna beat the eggs. Put some air in that, and then mix it in. And there we go, the beautiful white. Well, not quite white. And they said to do it until you can draw a ribbon through it and then it slowly closes. And next to whip the egg whites. And we're gonna whip them until they're basically like whipped cream. And apparently you have to be careful not to overdo it, otherwise they'll like destabilize. Once it starts to bubble, they informed me that I needed to shove some sugar in, so that's what I did. And just keep whipping them forever. I made this cake twice, and the second time I learned that when making a meringue, you cannot let any yolk in. Like, I got like the slightest amount of yolk, and I was like, it's fine, it's only a little bit. And I went to whip it, and it would not whip. I was sitting there, it's been 15 minutes. Like, it got white, it got bigger, but it didn't get stiff at all. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. So I threw some meringue powder in, and then it worked out. But this first batch did it correctly. It whipped fully into nice, stiff peaks, but still floppy enough, I guess. And with our eggs sufficiently beaten, it will be time to begin on the cake. This recipe only has 4 ingredients, so there's only 2 other to mix it in since we already did the eggs and the flour. First off, I'm folding the flour into the yolk puffy mixture.
Technically, I was supposed to put the flour through the sifter to make it nice and fluffy, get it all separated out and airy, but I'm not that fancy. I don't got those laying around, so I just shook the flour as I put it in and hoped for the best. Alright, and with the flour sufficiently folded in, it's time to fold in the meringue. I'm trying to be careful not to crush the meringue. I don't know if I do a great job at that, but I folded it all in and it got mixed in, so hopefully with some air still left. And then the butter. And I don't know, it felt really weird just pouring warm butter in. I feel like this was wrong and it shouldn't have been done. I don't know. But I did it and then it got more runny, so I was like, oh, this is more like cake batter because it's more runny, but it also seemed a little less airy, so And here's our tin, which I lined with a layer of butter and flour like the recipe said to. Kind of strange. I would normally do parchment paper, but it was cool. It came out easily afterwards, so that's great. And the cake is out and it's flat. Ah! So I don't know if I did the meringue part wrong, like smushed all the air out of it, or there's a good possibility my pan was just too big. She said to use an 8-inch one and I used a 9-inch one. So possibly the cake was just spread a little bit too thin. I went ahead and did the cake again and it came out about this flat again. So yeah. But then I had the 2 cakes for the 2 pieces, so we good. We good. And on to decorating the cake of our dreams. There's this nice chocolate black on the cake, so I'm making that here, just spreading some chocolate then throwing it in the fridge to harden. Then for decorating the cake, and I had my siblings around, so they're gonna interrupt now and then.
Even though he closed that headset with his laptop.
Sorry about that name choice.
This is Piper here.
You sound like you're on drugs.
The only decorations this cake takes is strawberries and whipped cream, which is beautiful. There's a better way to place them, so when you cut it, they look really cute, but I didn't do that.
I don't want to hear your feelings. That's a really short cake.
I would say
My eyes widened and I was like, she called me out. I baked it wrong and she knows.
Strawberry Shortcake! I was like, shoot.
But luckily the follow-up made me breathe a sigh of relief. So basically, spread the cake with whipped cream, throw some strawberries on it, doing the other cake, throw some whipped cream on that. I'm gonna go over and just smooth it out with a cake knife. And cake knives are truly wonderful. I didn't think they'd be that different from a butter knife, but they are. With it all smoothed out, we're just gonna bloop, 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 bloop our candles. Then we're gonna bloop, 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 bloop our whipped cream. And then we're gonna bloop, 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 bloop our strawberries. And gently place that happy birthday plaque on. Thank you to my mother for doing the writing, because my writing is so bad. And it's like 20 times harder in chocolate. And there you have it, the final cake. It's beautiful, it's cute. I really love this cake, honestly. It's the perfect. And it wasn't murder to make. And here the cake is on fire! Yeah, apparently doing 4 candles really makes the flames big. I would probably say don't do it because it's not safe, but maybe do it because it's also really cool. I don't know. It's your life. You do you. Unless it kills you. And now for the cake cutting thing, because apparently for cake videos, people like cut a cake to show what it's like on the inside. I don't know. There you go. The cake's real. I can cut it and eat it. Yeah.
The cake, it's done. It was delicious. I actually really, really enjoyed this cake. The shortcake, it wasn't a very strong sweet. Like, it's not addictively sweet, but it's also not like so sweet you don't want to eat anymore. It was quite bland, but like the strawberries. When eating it, you definitely like searched out the strawberries, and pairing it with the whipped cream was so good. I highly recommend making this cake, especially for a birthday. It tastes good. It's also so cute, but it can also be pretty, so I feel like it works for any age. And it's really not that hard. Like, this did not take me days upon days to make. Like, the last cake, it was an afternoon of making the cake, so not too bad. And when it comes to decorating it, there's a good chance it's gonna look okay. Like, you're not gonna completely fail it and it look despicable and inedible. Maybe, but whipped cream is very forgiving and easy to work with, and it tastes good at the same time. However, you do need to refrigerate it, otherwise the whipped cream just kind of, and even refrigerated, it deflates after a while. So that's something to keep in mind. The one area I definitely messed up on was the cake, and the 2 options are I did the meringue wrong, which is highly likely. I've never done it before. I don't even know if I want to try again. I want to try again. I do want to try again, but I want to try again with someone who knows what they're doing, guiding me, so I know whether or not I did anything right. But one thing that I definitely got wrong was the size of the pan. The recipe I used said an 8-inch pan, and I used a 9-inch pan. So basically there were 13 square inches of space that I had even more to spread out into. And that's a lot of what made it so short. So I might try it again, but this time increase the ingredients amount a little bit. I don't know. Technically baking 2 different cakes did work in the end though, so. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and thank you to everyone who joined me for my birthday live stream. It was fun to celebrate the day with you guys and make my day a little bit more celebratory for sure. You should consider subscribing, seeing that there's still way more Animal Crossing food I have yet to make. I don't know if I'll make everything, but maybe I will. You never know. You won't know if you don't subscribe, right? And it's free. Oh, like, it was my birthday, right? So, like, for your birthday present to me, like, just subscribe, you know? Yeah, just do it. Peer pressure, right? Okay. I hope you have the loveliest of lovely day. See you next time.